All right, hope you're getting excited. You're about to deploy your subgraph up to the hosted service, the only step after that is being able to query it. So we just finished, we put together the manifest, we put together the schema or the entities and the mappings. So that is our subgraph complete and we're ready to go. So you want to head over to thegraph.com/hosted service. And if you haven't logged in, go ahead and log in. I've already logged in. And then head over to your dashboard. Basically, the first thing we need to do is create a space for our subgraph to live on the hosted service. So take note of your access token, and don't worry, I'll be regenerating mine after this video, so this isn't gonna work for you. But what you need to do here is click on this button over on the right, add subgraph, and then you just simply fill out this information for your subgraph. You can pick a new image for it if you want. You can call it whatever you like. I'll just call this one did registry 2, and you can't use special characters, so let's try did registry 2 like so, and notice that it generates a URL for it under here, which is I'll get to, so you might want to keep the registry name nice and short. What account it's going to be under. If you had multiple, you just simply select the drop down and pick here. Short description of it, so associate near accounts with ceramic dids. A longer description if you want, which would be visible on the details page. The GitHub repository if you like as well. These are optional. Then you have this hide button, which either says that your subgraph is basically going to be public for people to find in the Explorer or not, and I'll just leave it hidden for this. Take note of this. The graph will stop indexing your subgraph if it hasn't had any activity in the last 30 days. So if there's a break in time where you're not using it, just keep in mind that you're going to have to redeploy it for them to start indexing it again. And then once all of that is done, simply create subgraph, and now you have a place for it to live. You notice up here currently it's undeployed, and then it's got some information here, next steps or whatnot, but we won't need to do that. What you will need is the name here, your username and this name, and actually you can get it from the URL of this subgraph. So we're going to head back over to the repo on Gitpod or on your local machine here, and go into your package.json file, and here's where we need to modify the deploy command to include that. So I'm just gonna underneath here just paste the URL that I brought back. Basically, you need to put your username and subgraph name here. So after doing that, let's delete that. The package.json is ready to go, but before you're going to be able to deploy, you're going to need to authorize yourself with the graph. That's where that access token comes into play. So use this command here, graph auth -product hosted service access token. You need to go back and grab the access token like so. Just replace this part at the end here with your access token and hit enter. And in a second it'll get authorized. We're good to go. And now you're able to deploy to that subgraph. All right, so first we do npm run codegen, which generates the types for the GraphQL schema, and it stores them in the generated folder as we saw before. Then we do an npm run build, which compiles a subgraph and organizes the files into the build folder so they're ready for deployment. Run that. And then finally, when that is done successfully, you do an npm run deploy, and it will push your subgraph up to the hosted service. Just a sec, so it is there. There's your endpoints, and if we head back over to the hosted service now and refresh the page, we will see that it is now deployed. If you go into the logs, you'll see that it is starting to index and work through this. Here, and you can see that this will change as it moves through the various blocks. And if we head back to the playground, here. So here you've got a little bit of information, the name. Don't worry about this. It's a progress indicator and it's not hooked up for near yet, so it's not going to give you much information other than when it was deployed. A little bit of information here, what network, when it was last updated, created, how many entities it's currently looking at. And then we have a couple of interesting things here. So take note of this, the api.thegraph.com queries HTTP endpoint. We'll need that when we start querying it for our application. And that, congratulations, you have deployed a subgraph for near on the graph.